to Celebrity Hollywood Classic, where we honor the stars of yesterday.
What happens when the spotlight fades, but the legacy refuses to dim? In the late 70s, three women redefined what power looked like on television. But behind the glossy covers, iconic hair, and crime-fighting charm was a story you never saw. Of personal sacrifice, quiet battles, and careers that took turns no one expected. One became a fashion mogul, another vanished from Hollywood's radar, and one turned her back on fame completely. This isn't just a tribute. It's a journey into what fame gives, what it takes, and what's left behind when the cameras stop rolling. And the truth? It's more surprising than any episode ever aired. A faint crackle of a speaker, a voice echoing from an unseen room. That moment carries more weight than any opening line. It's easy to forget there was a secret behind Charlie's voice, just as there were secrets behind those glamorous sunglasses. But what if I told you the man behind the voice almost never became Charlie at all? Stay tuned, because part of this story only came to light decades later. Back in 1976, TV was about to get hit by a lightning bolt. ABC dropped a bold experiment. Three women, not cops, private detectives, working for a mysterious millionaire they only heard over a speakerphone. The cast was ordinary, the premise outlandish, but the hook was irresistible. Netflix pacing it wasn't, but audiences couldn't stop watching. Behind the scenes, Charlie Townsend was pure enigma. The voice belonged to 58-year-old John Forsythe, but he never stepped on set. Instead, night after night, he recorded his lines off-screen, and that disembodied drawl became part of television history. Rumor has it, the original voice actor arrived drunk, and Aaron Spelling scrambled. A late Friday night call, Forsythe in slippers, pajama top still on, down to the studio, recorded in one go, then back to bed. That spontaneity, that raw charm, it stayed, and kept him on the show for 5 seasons, sparking a legacy that would echo through reboot after reboot. You saw 3 fearless women doing impossible stunts, but you never saw Charlie. Forsythe's voice commanded authority without a face, an old-school mystique that made viewers feel part of a secret mission. He was already a star, with decades on stage and screen, but Charlie cemented his legacy in millions of living rooms. Even after the series ended, he'd return to the role in both the 2000 and 2003 films, only finally retiring after the sequels. And then there was David Doyle, John Bosley, the office dad who was everyone's confidant. At 47, he joined the Angels as the warm, steady presence between crime-fighting showdowns. Bosley wasn't just a button. He was the emotional anchor, the comedic relief, the guy who reminded you this team had a heart. Doyle filled 115 episodes, leaving a charm that outlived his February 1997 departure at age 67. Imagine if he were still alive in 2025. 95, and probably still cracking Bosley jokes. His legacy lives in every episode's gentle heartbeat. Then came the original angel who started it all, Farrah Fawcett. At just 29, she exploded onto screens with a smile that lit up the room, and a hairstyle that went viral long before viral was a thing. That red leotard poster? It sold 6 million copies in its first year, making her poster the best-selling of all time. But behind the glamour was a woman eager to grow, and when she left after just 1 season, it wasn't just a casting change. It sparked a media uproar, contract drama, even whispers she walked to focus on real, serious acting. Those whispers? They were true. Fawcett transitioned into bold, dramatic roles, like in The Burning Bed, and earned Emmy and Golden Globe nods pushing past her Angel label. Her departure also revealed the fragility beneath the celebrity glow. Rumors circulated that her demanding shoot schedule clashed with her marriage to Lee Majors, and maybe she wanted more than bikinis and beauty. What I want you to remember is this: those glossy covers hid a fiercer ambition beneath. A woman fighting expectations, using early fame as a springboard. Charlie's Angels kept evolving. Cheryl Ladd stepped in as Chris Monroe, bringing her own spark. Kate Jackson and Jaclyn Smith held it together, their on-screen chemistry steadying the ship. Yet ratings started to falter. By season 4, viewers were fading. Shelley Hack's debut didn't work, and when ratings dropped in 79 to 80, executives got nervous. But even with the shifts, the core stayed. 3 resilient women doing the job, on their own terms. Amid it all, Tanya Roberts arrived in 1980 for the final season as Julie Rogers. She was 30, bringing fresh energy in a show desperate to reconnect with audiences. You remember her from the Bond film A View to a Kill. But on Angels, she injected a new layer. Her presence captured late-era TV's earnest reach for renewal. Critics said the show was fading, but she inherited the dream of a franchise struggling to reinvent itself. There's more, though. This show wasn't just about fashion and cases. It stirred a debate. Fast Company in 2016 called it Jiggle TV, poking fun at its glossy veneer and questioning whether women could carry their own show. But here's the twist. Ratings soared. The Angel Trio shifted ABC to number 1, proving mainstream audiences loved what critics dismissed. So, was it empowerment wearing spandex? Or a spectacle? Maybe both. That tension, the raw appeal versus the criticism, is what made it resonate decades later. But let's circle back. The unseen boss, Charlie, staying off camera. The other Angel franchises, 2000s films, the 2011 series, kept the pattern. New women, new styles, but Charlie always remained the same voice. And Bosley stayed too, albeit played by different actors. That consistency signaled the real story wasn't the women, those stars came and went. It was the brand, the mystery of the agency. That idea still echoes today, but it started here in 1976. So, what's left unsaid so far? There are secrets still buried, like how Forsyth once used his time between recording to read to children at Christmas events, or how Fawcett quietly battled cancer long before her death in 2009 at age 62. And come next episode, we'll peel back the pop culture impact, how home decorating, fashion trends, even perfume lines spun off from a TV show. Questions that keep building. What did the Angels do after the final credits faded? And how did their fame reshape Hollywood's approach to women-led shows? We're getting there. When we left off, the Angels had vanished from our screens, but their world was swirling with hidden heroes we barely noticed. Take L.Q. Jones, an unassuming face in Charlie's Angels, but a legend behind it. Known for playing tough, morally gray cowboys under director Sam Peckinpah, Jones appeared in a 1977 Angel episode, then left the series behind. He was 94 when he passed in July 2022, with a career stretching more than half a century. But what you didn't see on TV was a man whose every line echoed the grit of the American West. That ripple effect of classic cinema still resonates, even through the glossy lens of 70s television. And then there was Sammy Davis Jr. Yes, the Rat Pack legend, stepping into the Angel universe in a role that's more than a cameo. In the 1977 Kidnap Caper episode, he played himself and also Herbert Brubaker III, his own quirky lookalike. The plot twist? The Angels protect him, yet it's the imposter who gets taken. But the real twist? This storyline wasn't just a gimmick. It held layers of personal and cultural symbolism about identity, fame, and perception. He wasn't merely there for star power, he was hitching his legacy to a show subtly reshaping gender dynamics on mainstream TV. Imagine the buzz. Sammy Davis Jr. sharing the screen with 3 female detectives when gendered roles were still rigid on network TV. That move alone cracked stereotypes, and his role doubled that. As himself, he radiated charisma. As Brubaker, he revealed how fame can become a reflection distorted by others' expectations. And rumor has it, this episode played to viewers as a clever commentary on how public images can be mistaken and weaponized. Curiosity keeps pulling you through the story. What did this blend of celebrity and plot really mean? Behind the scenes, Davis wasn't alone. His wife, Altaviz, actually appears, adding emotional depth when she worries over her husband's safety. That rare touch of reality masked by a glamorous surface gave the episode emotional gravity, and something you wouldn't expect from a crime caper. It became a spotlight on star marriage under pressure, a backstage peek into vulnerability. That's the kind of thing Netflix documentaries live for, something subtle, human, unforgettable. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. The episode aired December 7th, 1977, a time of cultural transition in America. Sammy was shifting from Rat Pack showmanship toward more introspective roles. At the same time, Charlie's Angels was turning from pure action into something more nuanced, touching on gender and racial boundaries. The fact that a black entertainer could headline an episode alongside 3 empowered women signaled an unspoken shift. Critics may have laughed, calling it jiggle TV, but this blending of race and gender through primetime programming quietly challenged perceptions. Then there's Dean Martin, another Rat Pack legend making a surprise angel appearance. At 60, he stepped onto the set, leaning into his crooner charm as Frank Howell. Imagine seeing old blue eyes crossed with crime fighting. It's a visual twist that pulled in viewers and reminded them how television could reset a star's image. That contrast, Martin's smooth persona in a field full of action, highlighted how genre blending became a soft weapon of reinvention. Part 2 also cracks open another mystery. How deeply did these guest stars shape the tone of the show? L.Q. Jones added gravitas, Sammy Davis Jr. brought cultural commentary, Dean Martin lent star magnetism, and Christopher Lee even popped up as Dale Woodman in 1976. Yes, that Christopher Lee, the Dracula himself, appearing in Angels just as much as in Hammer Horror and Lord of the Rings. All these cross-genre icons stepping into this crime world. It was bold and unpredictable, and exactly the kind of storytelling hook that kept viewers coming back. The bigger question across all of this? What did it mean for the women of Charlie's Angels to work side by side with such powerful male figures while still commanding the narrative? Because while critics dismissed the show, audiences kept tuning in, and those dynamic guest relationships subtly shifted TV norms. Suddenly, female detectives weren't just eye candy. They were co-stars with legends. That hidden resonance is something audiences today are just waking to. And it started here. Beyond the guest stars, we also learn about off-screen lives that shaped the on-screen energy. L.Q. Jones continued working until his late 70s, directing cult favorite A-Boy and His Dog, and acting in Scorsese's Casino. That kind of enduring hustle gives his Angel cameo a richer sheen. Sammy Davis Jr. continued breaking barriers, starring in TV specials and touring stages worldwide until his death in 1990. Martin carried on performing until his passing in 1995. These weren't one-off moments. They were career touchstones connecting long arcs of showbiz history. Here's another hook you didn't see coming. These cameos weren't just guest slots. They were coded handoffs across generations of stardom. An older guard sharing scenes with three young women pushing television into fresh territory. The unspoken message: progress doesn't mean erasing the past. It means converging it. As we edge toward Part 3, these questions loom larger. How did these guest appearances influence the Angels' long-term legacy? Did bringing in iconic male figures amplify or overshadow the female leads? And after the final credits of 1981, what trajectories did the actresses take? And did their time among legends shape what came next? Kelly Garrett's journey didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. As we pull the curtain back, we see a woman who never truly left the spotlight. She evolved. At age 80 in 2025, Jaclyn Smith carries herself with grace that outshines her early fame. Remember that iconic 1970s look? She's still the vision of elegance she was on set. And now, she's a mogul behind one of the most successful celebrity-driven fashion empires. A $200 million business that not only defined her legacy, but set a standard for future stars. And where did Sabrina Duncan go? Kate Jackson retreated, recovered, and returned stronger. After diversifying her roles in Scarecrow and Mrs. King, she quietly battled health setbacks before stepping back into the spotlight. But she never lost that sharp wit that made her beloved by fans. Jackson's resilience carved an emotional arc that mirrored changing attitudes around mental health in Hollywood. Something we'll dig into in future chapters of television history. Cheryl Ladd's Chris Monroe matured into more than a majestic angel. She built a life. Transitioning between TV staples like Vegas and Fantasy Island, she built a family, weathered ups and downs, and still sparkles when she steps onto a stage. She remains an emblem of longevity in a business obsessed with youth. Her story whispers to every viewer, you don't have to burn out to blaze brightly. Shelley Hack, who joined late as Tiffany Wells, didn't vanish after her one Angel season. She pivoted hard into producing, philanthropy, and business. It wasn't a breakout star moment, no blockbuster, but a conscious redefinition. In an industry quick to forget, her reinvention speaks volumes about self-worth and agency, reminding us fame isn't the only measure of success. Then there were the guest stars who impacted more than just ratings. Nancy Fox and Rick Cassaro appeared briefly, and though their airtime was fleeting, their life stories highlight the fragility behind the glamour, losing their lives too soon to illness. Each episode carried more than drama on screen. It echoed real human stories with real stakes. That tension is what makes revisiting this era more than nostalgia. It's a mirror to our own hopes, losses, and resilience. When the final credits rolled in 1981, agents tried revivals, film spin-offs, reboots, but the original magic remained elusive. Still, the franchise breathed on. The 2000s movies and the 2019 reboot nodded to the past. Kelly, Sabrina, Chris, training a new generation, but none captured the emotional heartbeat of that first run. What they lacked was not charisma, it was context. The cultural scramble of 70s feminism, shifting media, and a trio of women sharing screen presence with legends like Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. Let's talk fashion for a second. Those angels in their gold Rolex Lady Datejusts weren't just accessories. They were symbols of power subtly communicated. That detail speaks to an era when women wielded style as silent authority. The message wasn't shouted, it was understood. Wearing Rolex in a field dominated by men whispered, "We belong here." That nuance still resonates. Fast forward to today, and Jaclyn Smith's wardrobe is now business attire. Her fashion label, Jaclyn Smith Today, has branched from Kmart to Nordstrom Rack, beauty lines to fabric lines. And she's not done. In 2019, she partnered with Sisley Paris on a lipstick shade. And in early 2025, she guest-starred on CBS's new Dr. Odyssey. At nearly 80, she isn't coasting. She's still creating, still influencing now. Curious? Rightfully so. What financial lessons lie buried beneath fame? Nearing the end, let's spotlight Jaclyn Smith's luxury lifestyle and business savvy. Over the years, she's been photographed in luxury vehicles, update, seen recently in a sporty Mercedes convertible, and is known to favor timeless two-tone Rolex chronograph and Daytona watches, continuing the legacy from her angel days. Real estate holdings include multiple California properties. Reports hint at a private jet lease negotiated through her business entity. She owns equity in her own label, has licensing deals with Kmart and Nordstrom Rack, and partnerships in beauty brands. Her thoughtful insurance policies cover health, post-cancer care, business assets, and career continuity. Lesson: diversify income, own your brand, insure your work. And longevity doesn't require stardom. It demands strategy. As we close this trilogy, the transformation is clear. Kelly Garrett grew into an icon. Sabrina Duncan evolved into a pioneer for mental health guests. Chris Monroe became a helmswoman of her destiny. Tiffany Wells turned adversity into advocacy. These women no longer played parts. They shaped a generation's view of what women could do on screen and off. So here's the final beat. When the lights went down on that last Angel case, they didn't fade away. They rewrote the rulebook. Their legacy isn't hidden in reruns or posters. It lives in every female detective, every business-savvy actress, every celebrity-turned-entrepreneur. It lives in us. And if you love rich, emotional journeys through the real lives behind the fame, there's more coming your way. Subscribe for stories that don't just entertain, they resonate. Because, in the end, Charlie's Angels wasn't just a show, it was a statement. And the women behind it? They're still rewriting the rules.